Hello and welcome to the Capital Games Podcast. I'm the Wiz.
And I'm Zero.
Zero, we can't do anything about pleasantries today because we have a ton of stuff that were announced just today and the past couple of days. It's a meaty podcast, so we're just going to get right down to it. A lot of streams were announced and shown off in the past few days, and we're just going to discuss everything that's going on in the stream. We'll do highlights instead of just doing everything because some of them were kind of meaty, some of them weren't, and a lot of them had filler. So we'll just do the highlights at this point. And we will start with the most recent stream that happened today on Tuesday, and that is the Sony State of Play. They took 20 minutes and discussed a bunch of games that are being announced, some that were getting, updated release dates or different types of gameplay trailers. So
I'm also got status updates as well too, but we'll get into that.
Yes, absolutely. So why don't we just dive right into it? Do you want to do updates first? Do you want to just get to the ones that were announced?
I think we'll just kind of play it by ear. One of the big announcements that kicked off this Sony presentation was one hell of a way to start, and that was Tekken 8.
Yes.
Just it was an in-engine sort of thing, no life bars, no meters, so no real substantial information on how this is going to play, but it was just one of those things. It was just like, yeah, this is what a fight's going to look like, and I was just like, wow, did not expect them to start off with a banger like this.
Yeah, absolutely. And Tekken 8 was teased at Evo the last month, I remember, right?
Yeah.
So, and I think people were thinking we're not going to hear anything about that for maybe until next year. So, but they showed it off here, and that's great. No really no announcement about a release date or anything, but just said stay tuned. So, my guess is that they're going to probably show it off more at the Game Awards. My guess?
Yeah, either the Game Awards or they might have a more meaty trailer for Tokyo Game Show, which takes place later this week. So maybe they might have something towards the end of this week. We'll have to see.
Okay, yeah, that's possible. That's possible. Sure. All right, what do you think we should talk about next?
Well, so this one was one of the highlights that I wanted to really spotlight on because this one is quite significant. Mm-hmm. So, Like a Dragon Ishin is coming out to the West for both PS4 and PS5. Mm-hmm. And for anyone who's not familiar with this particular game in the Yakuza, or Like a Dragon as it's being renamed, chronology, this one takes place during the Meiji Reformation era, with the Shinsengumi police force during that time, and it basically casts all the Yakuza characters in essentially what could be called like a secret police force sort of role. Really weird game, sort of a remix on history sort of a thing. Mm-hmm. But what makes this significant is that this game, or this version of the game, is going to be rebuilt from the ground up using the brand new Dragon engine. So it's not a lazy remaster of just taking the original Like a Dragon Ishin release from Japan and just kind of slapping some updated graphic assets. This is going to be a complete rebuild from the ground up, and this is huge because the original release, which was a launch PS4 game and a one of the few PS3 games that sort of closed out the PS3 generation. Mm-hmm. When it had came out, everyone was kind of wondering, well, just is Sega ever going to release this one? Because just it looks like a really cool game and everything, and Yakuza Fever is here, so maybe we'll get it. And it was just one of those things that it just never made the jump. So to see this actually make the jump and also get a significant remake sort of treatment to it is awesome to see. And for anyone who's doubting that this is a remake, here's something that will give you further corroborating evidence. Famitsu had talked to Sega about this, and in Japan, the game is being called Ryuga Gotoku Ishin Kiwami. And if you're familiar with the Kiwami name, that's because it was used in Yakuza Kiwami and Yakuza Kiwami 2, which were complete from the ground up remakes of Yakuza 1 and 2. So that should be exciting news for anyone who's a big Yakuza series fan.
Is this a sign that Yakuza is a bigger brand than I think most realize? Or is this a sign that maybe Japanese culture is more accepted than it used to be in the States?
In my opinion, I would say it's more just the Yakuza brand has finally found its footing. Because during the PS2 era, the first two Yakuza games were Sega of America was trying to frame them as this is the Japanese interpretation of Grand Theft Auto, which it really wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
No. And of course, as a result, both games undersold massively in the West, and unfortunately, both games sort of became cult classics. So a lot of people who are just really into Japanese games would be like, "Oh yeah, you gotta play Yakuza." Yeah, I know. The advertising billed it as Grand Theft Auto, but it's totally not. Ignore that. Just play it for what it is, and you'll see that there's a great game in this. But in this modern PS4, PS5 era, Sega has really leaned real hard into just accepting Yakuza for what Yakuza is, which is great because it's paid off in spades. So I think that's why just they've just gone ahead and said, yeah, let's just go ahead and localize this game. Yeah, it's kind of niche, but there's such a strong fandom in the West that we can probably make a buck or two.
Okay. I mean, it's an interesting announcement. I'm definitely interested in it. Do you need I don't know if you've played it or not, but do you need to be aware or familiar with the Yakuza series in order to play this? Or is this something that you don't need that previous experience for?
So, full disclosure for me, I did import the original version of the game that was released for PS4. Thankfully, you do not need any previous Yakuza series knowledge, especially since this takes place during the Meiji Reformation era. So the only thing that might give you an extra leg up on this game is if you have an appreciation for Japanese history. But even if you don't have that, it's still a very fun game. Just lots of intense action scenes and things like that. So if you liked the previous Yakuza games, then yeah, this is just more of the same, but in a completely different setting.
Okay. So let's move on. The next game, the new game that was shown was Pacific Drive. This is a weird one. From what it felt like a Back to the Future type game, but not about time. Okay, this is gonna sound weird. The way it looks like kind of a Back to the Future style. No, you know what? I'm throw out the Back to the Future thing. I think you said it best when we were watching the stream. It looks kind of driver simulatory or more walking simulatory, but you're in a car, essentially.
Yeah, it was a little bit hard to kind of grasp what it was all about, but yeah, just there was some sort of apocalyptic event going on, and you're in this car that's got like all sorts of computers and whiz-bang gadgets inside of it, and the only thing that I could ascertain from it is maybe it's some sort of walking simulator like Firewatch or something, but unfortunately it's just a little too early to tell. So maybe when they get a little closer to announcing that the game is about to come out, maybe there might be some more details. So definitely going to be curious on that one, and hoping that there's a little bit more substantial information.
Right. That is slated for next year. I believe that's what I think that was the release that they gave. It was next year. Next one was Sin Duality from Bandai Namco. It's a third-person shooter involving mechs and what looked to have some kind of farming in it, essentially. I guess. The shooting looked interesting, and it seemed to have an interesting story, I guess. But yeah, that's about it, really. That's for
Yeah,
2023. Go ahead.
definitely curious on how that mining is going to work because, I mean, if it's mining for the sake of stuff like base management or something, okay, might be a neat thing. If it's going to be sort of like, oh, if you want to upgrade weapons, we're going to gate your weapon pathways to basically you having to go and farm up a whole bunch of materials and stuff, then might be a little bit of a grind. So that one I'll have to wait and see how that turns out.
Yeah. 2023 is when that is expected. Project Eve was announced, I think, in the last state of play. It looked interesting. It looked like a third-person character action game of sorts.
Yeah, and this new trailer that was shown off actually gave it a new name. The name for the game has now been changed to Stellar Blade.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like a Devil May Cry-ish game set in a futuristic setting. You are I guess, a young girl in a bodysuit, apparently. But it looks interesting. Other than that, the theme that we're gonna have in the state of play is we don't really, of the new games, we don't really get a good glimpse as to what gameplay is gonna look like too much. But it looked interesting. So Project Eve, now Stellar Blade, they have a release date coming in 2023, I believe is what they said.
Yeah, so definitely looking forward to it, especially since it's developed by Hyuntae Kim, and I know in one of the PlayStation blogs when they had initially revealed Project Eve, I want to say a couple years ago, he had said that he has a deep love for games like Devil May Cry. While the combat looked interesting, and unfortunately there really wasn't any sort of like meters or mechanics that were easily discernible, the combat looks a little bit loose. But that isn't necessarily a bad thing because at that point it would probably put the combat a little bit closer to something like Nier Automata. So for anyone who kind of liked the combat in Nier Automata, I would say maybe keep an eye on Stellar Blade.
Next game that was shown looks to be Rise of the Ronin. Looked interesting. Something that I would definitely be into. It's an open world samurai game. A lot different from... Well, Ghost of Tsushima was a samurai game, wasn't it? That was more of a...
That was more an open, like a massively open world.
Mhm.
The best way to kind of put the vibe of Rise of the Ronin is for anyone who's played the Way of the Samurai games, it looks very similar to that. So
Yeah.
if you're into Way of the Samurai, then maybe keep an eye out for Rise of the Ronin.
Looks good. They didn't show any gameplay. 2024 release window. This is one I didn't get why they announced this when it's nowhere near ready and they have no gameplay to show. I don't get with this one. It looks interesting, but they didn't really show much of anything else. So that was my issue. Like why show this when it's nowhere near ready and you have nothing to show? But okay, fine. Looks interesting, but I want to see gameplay as soon as they can.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So the next thing that was shown was the DualSense controller themed with the God of War Ragnarok sort of artwork on it and everything. And it's kind of funny because this was right after the female announcer says, "And we have one last announcement." And when this controller was being shown, I was kind of laughing my ass off because I was like, don't tell me that this is literally the last announcement for the day, because if this is, I can see so many people just getting angry going, okay, this is bullshit. You saved the last announcement for a fucking controller. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. That would have been hilarious. But nope, that wasn't the last announcement. They showed a story trailer off for God of War Ragnarok. Is there anything more to be said about this game? So many people are excited about it. are really looking forward to playing it, and it's easy to see why. It looks great. The last game did really well, both gameplay-wise and sales-wise. So at this point, like, I don't I don't see the point of telling people, hey, this is coming out. They all know. So I don't know why this was here, but it looked good. It looked good. So
Yeah, my assumption is this is just kind of par for the course for the hype cycle of, hey, we gotta, keep the hype going, keep everyone going. Okay, gotta go and pre-order this. So,
yeah.
But that's my presumption on the matter.
Yeah. Aside from that, there were two PSVR 2 games announced. Star Wars Tales from the Galaxy's Edge. I didn't even realize that they announced this previously. But yeah, they showed a bunch of different gameplay on that. And a game called Demio, which I guess is a tabletop RPG style game, which I gotta admit, looked interesting. But to get a PSVR game, or a system, I don't. That could easily be like a table. That could easily be something you get put on a tablet. It's not necessary to put on a VR game unless they do something drastically different with it. I don't understand why they did that. And then the other thing we need to mention is that Hogwarts Legacy had a trailer. Look, I am interested in the game, but I will be honest. The more I see it, the less and less excited I get. Yeah, I will still end up playing it, but the more and more they show, the more I'm like, you're not. This is making me less excited for the game.
And I will make a honorable mention for worst announcement of this presentation, and that is the PlayStation Stars program.
I was going to get to that, but yes, talk a little about that.
So, for background, a couple months ago, PlayStation had made some sort of blog announcement saying, hey, we want to reward gamers for putting their time and energy into some of our games, unlocking achievements and stuff like that. And the way this program was originally built, it sounded like it was going to be something like the Club Nintendo sort of things, where you could earn points and then redeem those points for things like physical knickknacks, tchotchkes, and limited edition posters, and even alternate art covers for your games. And when that announcement had initially dropped, everyone was like, okay, kind of cool, because the Club Nintendo stuff isn't too great anymore. If PlayStation can knock this out of the park, consider me interested. I'd be willing to try a game out to knock out an achievement to get a cool physical thing. Well, today's announcement changed that, because instead of the possibility of getting physical stuff, it's now digital statues now. So some of the stuff that they were showing was like you could get like a digital statue of a PS3, a Pocket Station, and all this other stuff. And just when I saw this, I was like, oh god, just you had an opportunity to kind of show up Nintendo for their physical rewards program, and now that you're basically doing something that's almost the equivalent of just worthless 3D models that you can pop on and view, I assume, in the PlayStation app or your PS5.
Yeah.
I was just like, wow, just way to drop a real stinker. I just don't see a lot of people being interested in going, yeah, let me play this one game to get a digital PS3 statue.
Yeah. I wonder if this is going to be part of a bigger thing. Like when I saw this, I was like, if they still had PlayStation Home, I could actually see this being a successful thing. But I don't think they're doing that. So this was a not an interesting announcement. And I think if people actually cared, I think they'd be pissed. But I don't hear anyone talking about it. I've been on Twitter for the past hour trying to see reactions from the state of play, and none of them have been talking about this. So I think I'd be surprised if this actually comes out. If they just don't kill it because no one's interested. So, well, anyway, that's it with me. I wasn't interested in the first place, and now I'm really not interested. So, yeah, what are you gonna do? Overall, what did you think of the state of play?
I thought it was all right. It definitely wasn't as disappointing as the rumors were leading up to be.
Right.
But I could definitely see where some extremely fanatical PlayStation fans might have been disappointed, because I know there were a whole bunch of really wacky rumors swirling about this event, and I think one of them was supposedly Bloodborne 2 was going to be announced at this, and
Oh yeah.
I was just like, yeah, that's way too moonshot. There's just no way.
Oh yeah. I think they curbed everyone's expectations because they all expect big, huge announcements on every single one of these things. Like you said, like Bloodborne 2, like is what they were, or a Bloodborne remake. So those feelers started going out to basically say, I don't think those games are happening. So, but I thought it was a decent showcase. So I didn't have any issues with the showcase at all. Some duds, some things that I sat there going, why are you announcing this? When like the Rise of the Ronin one, I don't get why they announced it now when it's 2 years away.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
That one was way too concepty, in my opinion.
Uh.
And yeah, I agree. Just way too soon. You've got nothing substantial other than, hey, here's where the story's being set at. It's going to be set in this particular time period of Japan. It's just like, yeah, okay, that's neat, but you should have really saved this for later on when you have something a little bit more concrete to show off.
absolutely, I agree. This evening was the PlayStation State of Play. This morning was the Nintendo Direct that was announced, and they had some spicy announcements. So, do you want to start with, I guess, some of the announcements?
Yeah, sure. So, Nintendo also started their presentation with one hell of a whopper at the start. Game they kicked off this presentation with was Fire Emblem Engage, and this one looks like a just traditional style Fire Emblem. Yeah, it's got more anime characters, so if you're not into anime, this is not going to sway you any. But the premise of this one seems very interesting to me, because the main character has a interesting ring that is on their hand, and that ring apparently can bind certain Fire Emblem hero spirits from the past games, and he's shown off in parts of this gameplay trailer sort of thing, summoning Marth to do battles with him and things like that. So, very interesting premise and everything. One of the things that I did make light of is the fact that Nintendo is going to also release a limited edition version of this game with art books and all the usual limited edition tchotchkes. But if the Xenoblade Chronicles 3 limited edition situation in North America is any sign of things to come, expect the pre-order for the limited edition version of Fire Emblem Engage to be an absolute shit show.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You're 100% right on that. That's going to be... unless they've learned their lesson and found a way to do that correctly, yeah, scalpers are just going to pick that up, like, easily. The only problem I had with the Fire Emblem Engage announcement is the title. I think Fire Emblem Engage is a bad title, especially when you look at the previous ones like Three Houses, Shadow of Valencia, Awakening. Like, Engage just seems like, I don't know, it seems kind of sci-fi-ish, like, I don't know. But other than that, it looked great, and it definitely is a Fire Emblem game. I originally thought it was too soon for a new one, but then you remind me the last one was 3 years ago. So, yeah, that's cool. It's great that we have another Fire Emblem game, especially from a series that was once believed to be dead. So, that's great. What else was... You know what? Let's get into updates on this before we get into, I would say, like, the new announcements. They showed a new trailer for Bayonetta 3. Bayonetta Bayonetta 3. We know what it is, and
Yeah, and Nintendo also posted a bonus updated, or an not updated but extended trailer after the direct was posted. So,
yeah.
and I think that extended trailer is like a whopping 7 minutes. So, yeah, if you're a Bayonetta nerd, then I would suggest you visit the Nintendo YouTube channel and go find the extended trailer that they posted.
Yeah. Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion was given a release date of December 13th. I'm really
Yeah,
surprised they did this in a Nintendo Direct, since I think this version is the one that will sell the least. But okay.
yeah, and it's funny because I think immediately after the English trailer hit the Nintendo YouTube channel, the English Square Enix YouTube channel posted their trailer saying it's coming out to all platforms on December 13th.
Right.
So it was definitely funny to see that the Switch got the announcement first before all the other platforms.
Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is going to have Wave 3 of its Booster Court Pass coming soon. It's going to have a bunch of tracks from Tour and Mario Kart DS and a bunch of others. So you can look forward to that. I think they said December for that. Or holiday.
Yeah, holiday. So probably around Christmas, maybe as early as Thanksgiving. Kind of hard to call.
The next update for Nintendo Switch Sports will get golf, and that's delayed till this holiday.
And a quick clarification on the golf update. They are adding an online multiplayer mode called Survival Golf, which will allow you to play with up to 8 players online simultaneously. And it's basically sort of like a King of the Hill sort of play format that there will be a minimum amount of strokes to basically make it to the next phase, and then it'll run up until like there's only two players left, at least according to how the trailer went. So might be interesting for anyone who's really good at golf. So
Yeah.
maybe if you're looking forward to that, then yeah, it sounds like you'll have a blast with that.
Yeah. Mario Strikers Battle League is getting a second free update this month. They're adding 2 characters and a new arena, if you care about that. That sold okay, I think. I don't think it sold really well, but it sold all right. So that's good that they're updating that. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 has Wave 2 of its DLC, and it's adding a new character. It's a mechanical character. I didn't play 3, so I don't know what that. Oh, it also has new outfits, and the challenge battles. So there's more content for those who happen to have played all 80 hours and beat the game. So that's good. Splatoon 3's first battle, Splatfest, will choose between gear, grub, and or fun, which, if you're in a desert island, which would you have? Okay, sure. Fine. And that is it, I think. In regards to Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe comes out. It's a remake of the Wii game. I know that game is kind of a collector's item now. It's kind of hard to find. So it's interesting that they're remaking that. But I don't hear a lot of people who are Kirby fans say they find this to be a good game or not. Like, I think a lot of people forget that this game exists, unless you're a collector.
Yeah.
Of games.
Some of the chatter that I've seen in some of the Kirby communities is that this is great, considering that the Wii release is now a collector's item. That this makes the game much more accessible to find. So it's good to see that this could potentially disrupt the collector's market, which I'm in favor of any day.
Yeah.
The one problem I did see the Kirby community have a problem with is that the original release had very, very hard lines on the edges of the characters and stuff, and for some reason they've done away with that in this remake's art style. So a lot of fans are kind of scratching their head, going, "It looked fine, and now you've got the graphic design looking so soft now because you no longer have the hard lines outlining the outlining the characters anymore." So just why this strange decision all of a sudden?
Yeah. That's coming out February 24th of next year. Octopath Traveler 2 was announced. I don't know how far you got in Octopath Traveler 1. I did all the stories of Octopath Traveler 1, all the separate stories in the first round. And then after that, I kind of fell off. And it was also because it just didn't seem like I had problems with the story of Octopath Traveler 1. And I had kind of problems with the gameplay too. So I hope they do some improvements on that, especially in the story. Because if the story is good, I probably would have dealt with the problems I had gameplay wise. But yeah, but this sold very well, so it's not a surprise it's getting a sequel. That's coming out February 24th, so same day as Kirby. That's weird. So there you go with that. That's also coming to PC, PS5, and PS4. It's not coming to Xbox right away. So
yeah. As far as Octopath Traveler 2, looks interesting enough. I got maybe 25% into Octopath Traveler, and I think for me, I just got so sidetracked that I was just like, I'll just put this on ice. And unfortunately, I have just never revisited the game again. I will say that one of the mechanical changes for this sequel that I thought was interesting is that the game will have day and night cycles, but depending on the time of day and the cycle that it's in, your character skills could potentially change. Because, I think one of the examples that they had shown was there was a samurai character that by day he uses a bunch of his sword skills, but in the evening he has like merchant negotiation skills, so he can argue down prices with like merchants at like a fancy dinner or something. So I thought that was really interesting to see that you've got characters that now have two skills you have to account for, and you as the player will have to leverage those skills with accordance to the situation. But on top of the situation, you also have to consider the time of day now too.
Okay. I'll wait for reviews, but I know a lot of people did like Octopath Traveler, so you got your sequel. Final Fantasy Theatrhythm Final Bar Line was announced. I could have sworn they said the last one that they were doing was the last one.
Yeah. It looks like this one is sort of like a greatest hits version that combines everything, but on top of that, they're also adding additional stuff. The good thing is that they've got a premium digital deluxe edition, which will just flat out give you everything, which is great because the 3DS release was so confusing with all the DLC packages, and there really wasn't like a neat way to say, I want all the DLC. Just give me all of the DLC. You for the 3DS store, you had to individually buy each freaking one. It was a fucking mess, but yeah, just good to see this one coming onto Switch. I quite enjoyed Theatrhythm on 3DS. Loved it even more at the local Round One arcade near me in my city, because it's just a lot of fun to play on the arcade cabinet. So, from my quick observations, this looked like it was possibly a arcade port of the game. So, maybe it's a little bit less graphically pretty than the arcade version. I don't know. I'd have to see something a little bit closer to when this actually releases.
Okay. This is going to have a season pass that will add 90 new songs. It's going to have games from Nier, Octopath Traveler, Live a Live. Is it Live a Live? Or is it Live Alive?
Live Alive.
What?
Live Alive.
Okay. Live Alive. All right. I'll go with it. But and the game will have 385 songs to start. So it's a beefy product already, and you're going to get more songs if you get the pass, which I think the gold edition is what it's called, will have everything. So if you're interested, I guess get the gold edition. No word on price, I think, but this is coming February 16th of next year. Okay, so we'll move on. Another announcement is a bunch of new N64 games are heading to the Switch through the expansion pass. Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2, Mario Party 1, 2, and 3, 1080 snowboarding. One I was excited by, Excite Bike 64. If you haven't played that and played the soccer mini game, it's a lot of fun. But the big announcement is that GoldenEye 007 is coming to the service with online play. An interesting announcement. I know that's going to excite a lot of people. Zero, why don't you give your thoughts about the announcement for the N64 expansion pass?
So it's a bit interesting that Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2 are coming out because one of the big features in both of those games was the ability to use your original Game Boy Advance cartridges to basically transfer in your Pokemon to play. So because there's really no way to play Game Boy games on Switch, it's unfortunately just a missed opportunity to let people play with their own Pokemon. But
yeah,
the games had their own single player thing, so not a big deal. The GoldenEye announcement was a bit of a surprise for me, mostly because just there have been stories for years and years and years that any sort of reporting of GoldenEye 64 to modern systems, any thoughts of a remake or a remaster based on the N64 version were just mired in license agreements between Eon Entertainment, Rare, Nintendo, and it's been the subject of many YouTube video essays of, here are the reasons why we don't think a remake will ever happen because just it's licensing hell. And for the most part, just that's what I kind of had written it off as. This is licensing hell as much as many people with nostalgia for N64 games bemoan that they would love to get their hands on this. It was one of those things that I sort of dismissed it as, this will happen when pigs fucking fly. And well, just here we are in the year of our Lord 2022 AD, and we've got it.
Wow. Now, there are some caveats with this. The Wii version, of course, because it's on the expansion pass, is going to be streaming only. It's going to be the 64 game as it's originally made. Apparently, you read that it's not going to have dual stick controls, so they're not going to update the controls on that. The Switch version will have online play, but this is also coming to Xbox Series X and Xbox One, and they're not going to have online play on that one. But that will have updated HD textures and 4K resolution for that one. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, 4K resolution, 60 frames per second, stabilized frame rate, modern day twin analog controls, and split screen multiplayer. Okay. But no online multiplayer at all for this Xbox version. The good is that it will be free to play on Xbox Game Pass. So if you've got Game Pass, you'll be able to play for free. Mm-hmm. And then as an additional bonus, if you did the digital download version of Rare Replay, you will get GoldenEye 64 as a free DLC update to your Rare Replay package.
Yeah, that's nice. And Rare Replay has been like $5 for years on sales on Xbox. So you probably already have it at this point if you are mildly interested in Rare Replay. So that's good at least. But my thoughts are, that's great. Everybody has been clamoring for this. And my bet is everyone will play for an hour, realize that it's a game stuck in its time, and they'll never touch it again. That's my thought. And that's a downer, I know. But that's my thought on it. I see people saying, "Oh, remember when that was announced?" Yeah, I played it for about an hour and just never played it again. But yeah, cool. And that's it. So
Yeah, I will say that the Xbox One probably will get a little bit more love, mostly because of the fact that it does have the modern twin analog control scheme set up. Especially for anyone who liked playing Perfect Dark when it was remastered on 360, then I imagine the same people who enjoyed that game will probably end up playing GoldenEye 64 on Xbox with the same sort of excitement and zeal.
yeah. Okay, so next announcement. Resident Evil Village is coming to Switch through the cloud. And unfortunately, that's also going to be also Resident Evil 2 and 3 remake and Resident Evil 7 are all coming to Switch, but also through the cloud. So that's disappointing, unfortunately. But
it boggled my mind seeing that it was the games are coming to Switch as cloud versions, because just I don't know where they're getting the metrics that the cloud versions sell, because just especially with the fact that when the publisher decides to just say, well, we don't want to host the cloud version anymore, essentially you lose your game forever. There's no getting a refund just because they decide to shut down your game.
Yeah. Next up, the Harvest Moon: A Wonderful Life remake was announced, called Story of Seasons: A Wonderful Life. That's coming summer of next year. Look, Harvest Moon was a successful franchise before Stardew Valley. But I don't understand why all these YouTubers and all these pundits are like saying, well, if Stardew Valley wasn't successful, this would have never been made. No, that's not true at all. Harvest Moon, or Story of Seasons, is a successful franchise. It always has been. So, anyway, it looks like a remake of A Wonderful Life. There's not much more to say about it. So,
yeah, for anyone who just Harvest Moon in general, this is more just kind of just vintage style Harvest Moon, but with the ability to see your character, your character's significant other, and their children age. So it's kind of one of those sorts of farming sim games that has sort of a time element to it. So if you're kind of into that sort of continuity, then yeah, you might have fun with this.
Yeah. Fae Farm was announced as a mix of an RPG and farming. You can play with up to 4 players, which is interesting. But yeah, that's really it. No release date was shown, I think. Maybe I'm wrong.
Sometime next year, but kind of like what I mentioned on the Discord server that we're on, is that the creator, which is Phoenix Labs, they have had a bit of a contentious history with their users right now in their Monster Hunter style game, Dauntless. So I'd be really, really, really skeptical on this game, especially if they're not really listening to their user base right now for Dauntless. I just don't know how good this may potentially be for a farming game.
Good to note. It looks interesting, but I would like to know more information about it, honestly. Harvestella gets a demo today, and it will be released on November 4th.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Harvestella looks really fun. It's kind of in the vibe of Rune Factory, so if you're into Rune Factory, then this is probably one to keep an eye on. Especially with respect to just God. I just forgot the name of the Phoenix Labs game now.
Oh, Fae Farm.
Fae Farm, yeah. I would probably advise people to really consider Harvestella instead of Fae Farm, mostly because of the fact that just if you're looking for something that feels a little bit more like Rune Factory, then yeah, just Harvestella is really going to be the better choice in my opinion.
Right, and Harvestella is coming first, so. Fatal Frame Mask of the Lunar Eclipse finally comes to the West. This is the Wii Fatal Frame, am I correct? Yes.
Yes,
Fatal
it
Frame was
is.
released in Japan in the Wii in 2008. Never made it here. It's finally coming 2020 early 2023. The person on our I'm sorry, on our Discord essentially said this was not really that good. But
It's a weaker game in the Fatal Frame series, but it's not a bad game.
okay.
So story is a bit weak, but it's mechanically it plays very good. So for anyone wondering, Mask of the Lunar Eclipse is also coming to other platforms because Koei Tecmo did release a trailer saying that it is also coming out to PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, and then it's also coming to PC via Steam. So if you're not in the mood to play it on Switch, then it's going to be readily available on other platforms to play.
Okay. Tunic and It Takes Two are both coming to the Switch. Tunic in September 27th, and It Takes Two in November 4th. I mean, Tunic is getting fantastic reviews, and It Takes Two won Game of the Year last year. So it's great that they're both coming to Switch. I'm surprised it took so long for It Takes Two, but hey, cool anyway. Smaller announcements. Sifu is coming to the Switch in November. The Front Mission First remake is coming 2023. Wait, hold on. No, the first remake is coming in November. The second one is coming in 2023, and they confirmed a remake of the third one, which I'm excited for. The third one was excellent. I love the third one. Throw in when you want.
Yeah. For anyone who needs a reminder, Front Mission 1 and 2's remakes are being made by Forever Entertainment, and they were the folks behind the Panzer Dragoon remake on that came out on Switch, PS4, Xbox, and I think PC. I'm not 100% sure, so don't quote me on that. But I am curious if these games will also be coming out to other platforms, but there's no telling.
The surprisingly popular Atelier Ryza games. The third one is coming, Alchemist of the End and the Secret Key. It's coming early 2023. I am going to bet that that's going to all platforms. It's currently for February 24th, 2023. These are the first Atelier games to get over 1 million in sales. So I'm not surprised they're doing sequels of this. But I am surprised by how popular Ryza is, especially with a certain segment of the male demographic of RPG fans. Well, actually, I'm not surprised, but yeah.
So, and to also make mention, Atelier Ryza 3 is likely going to be the last game in this series because typically with the Atelier games, they are released on a trilogy cycle. So you'll have 3 games that will be part of one story trilogy, and then you'll have another set of 3 games that'll be part of another trilogy. Mm-hmm. So this third Atelier Ryza game will likely be the last of the Ryza trilogy.
But what's different with Ryza is the fact that the trilogies had different main characters for each edition. Because there's Atelier Sophie, Atelier Maruru, Atelier Taruru. Those are actual names. I'm not just making weird noises. But this is what's different about Ryza, because Ryza, I guess, was just so popular that they had to use Ryza in all 3 games. But I guess that just shows that the formula that they made for those games, they perfected so well that it made Ryza to be very popular. So, and everyone loves the character, so that's cool.
Yeah, and it's kind of neat too because all of the characters do sort of grow up as well too. Because one of the characters that's kind of a warrior in the first game, he becomes more closer to like a barbarian by like the second game, and no idea of how he's going to change for the third game and everything. So if you like sort of seeing the characters sort of grow up and either mature or go mad in their own sort of character progression, then yeah, just you'll like the continuity from Atelier Ryza 3. I know for me, I'm definitely excited because I have loved Atelier Ryza 1. I've not had a chance to get started on Atelier Ryza 2.
Hmm.
So I'll definitely need to try to get one finished up so I can get on to 2, get that finished up, and get ready for Atelier Ryza 3.
They're good, cute games. I got into Maruru and played a lot of it. I didn't beat it, but I enjoyed it. But they're cute. They're very they're colorful in an earthly sort of way, and they just have I would just say adorable look characters that are they're in the game. So they're good. They're good games. But I hear Ryza is just so well done that if you're gonna start playing them, start with the Ryza series. So
Yeah, and Ryza does not have a timeline
that's right.
deadline sort of mechanic. So for anyone who has always been worried about the time management aspect of the Atelier games, this is me making the endorsement that Atelier Ryza is a great starting point because there's no pressure on getting your objective deadline done like the other Atelier games. You have as much time as you want to take to grind out the items that you want, or if you want to grind out the gear and make sure your characters are geared up for the next chapter and everything. Yeah, you've got all the time in the world that you want to spend to either grind out your gear and your supplies, or you can just burn through every single objective as quick as you want. So the agency is pretty much on you as the player.
Tales of Symphonia Remastered was announced. I could have sworn they remastered this already. I could have sworn it. This was originally on GameCube. It was re-released on, I believe, PS3 with the sequel. And then I might be wrong, but I could swear that they have re-released it again previously, and then this is another re-release of this game. I'm gonna bet it's coming to all platforms because I don't see why they would make this exclusive to the Switch. But the graphics don't look updated at all. It just looks like a dumped ROM of the GameCube game. But if you haven't played it, it's good. And if you're into Tales games, I mean, there you go. You should play it.
Yeah, the Japanese Tales social media account on Twitter actually did confirm that the Tales of Symphonia remastered release will also be coming out to PS4 and Xbox One.
Okay, there we go. The Danganronpa creators have announced Master Detective Archives Rank Code. They showed some... I guess they showed some cutscenes, but that's it, really. But if
a cutscene and then sort of an action scene where you're supposed to basically separate truth and lies in sort of like an action combat sort of thing. So, I mean, if you're familiar with having to shoot truth bullets and stuff like that in Danganronpa, it's much the same, just animated with your detective using a sword to slash and destroy inconsistencies and lies in the testimony process.
Okay. I'm going to guess if you're into Danganronpa, you're probably interested in this. That's coming out spring 2023. SpongeBob SquarePants: The Cosmic Shake was shown off again. It's coming to 2023. Okay. I mean, this was in the THQ stream about a month ago. It's a SpongeBob 3D platformer. Okay. If you want it, you know it. Anyway, Rune Factory 3 remake was announced. Is it a remake?
Yeah, it's Rune Factory 3 Special, which is just a remake of the game. So, just if you liked Rune Factory 3, then this is just going to be a remake of it, and likely, I imagine there's probably going to be some quality of life changes. I never played 3, so I couldn't discern if there were some quality of life changes in the trailer that they showed off, but anyone who played it would likely know better than I would.
I remember playing 1 and really enjoying it, but I haven't gotten to the new one since.
Yeah, I bought 4 Special when it was released on 3DS, and then I bought it again on Switch, mostly because I just enjoyed playing the game on my TV.
Okay.
And 4 Special is really fun. Haven't had a chance to pick up 5. And speaking of the sequels of the game. Um, at the end of the Rune Factory 3 special announcement, they teased that there's a brand new Rune Factory game in development. So I would presume this is to say Rune Factory 6 is being worked on, and they will have more to announce when it's a little bit more closer to being presentable.
They didn't make it sound like it was a sequel, though, because if it was a sequel, they probably would say so. It sounded like a spinoff to me. I might be wrong. I might be reading too much into it, but it just, if there was a sequel, I think they would outright say, and then a new sequel to Rune Factory is coming. But they say it was a new. How do they phrase it?
It just was a new Rune Factories in development was really just how they framed it.
Okay, yeah. All right. Well, that's for those who are into Rune Factory, and there is a sizable amount of people. That's a cool announcement. Various Day Life is released today. It's an immersive RPG. That is a terrible title. It features job progression, strategic exploration, and an innovative battle system. From what I recall the trailer, it didn't say much either. So I guess reviews will probably come out in the next couple of days, unless you just want to buy it outright. But yeah, there's Various Day Life. Anything to add on that?
Yeah, just I was kind of like, oh, well, that's neat. So, definitely hesitant to kind of jump on a game like that. But yeah, I'll probably see how reviews end up sitting with it in the next few days.
It is $28.99 on Steam.
Probably not a bad price for anyone who might be into it.
Zero had a nerd erection when he heard that Radiant Silvergun is coming, and it's coming today on the Switch.
Yes!
Yeah, there we go.
Oh my goodness. So, for anyone who's a big fan of treasure shooters like Ikaruga, this is one game you should not skip out on because it is the prequel to Ikaruga. For anyone who wants some historical context, it was originally a Sega Saturn only game, and then, well, just when the Saturn died, it instantly became a collector's item, and it got so bad with the collector's item situation that used Sega Saturn discs for this game were starting anywhere from like $400 to $500, and if you absolutely had to have a pristine mint sealed in the plastic copy, I remember bids going anywhere from like $1,000 to $2,000 for a Radiant Silvergun disc. And then many years later, Treasure, in conjunction with Microsoft, did a remaster of the game for Xbox, specifically for 360 as part of the Live Arcade release.
Uh-huh.
So that was one way to get it, but as always, not everyone had an Xbox. So if you didn't have an interest in an Xbox, well, really wasn't any other legal way to play the game. So to have it come out to Switch is great to see, because just the Switch has been getting a lot of the vintage bullet hell shooters. So this is a great one to add to any bullet hell shooter addict's library.
Absolutely. I've heard great things of this and Ikaruga. So I don't know if Ikaruga is on Switch, is it?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, well, there we go. You have no excuse now. We're going to go through these quick. Factorio was announced coming October 28th. It's an assembly line game, essentially. It was for PC. It's been out for PC for a while now. And from what I've seen of it, it's kind of weird it's coming to Switch.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
IB was announced. It's a adventure game that's, I guess, kind of creepy. No release date that I recall. Oddball.
I believe it's coming sometime next year.
Right. Oddballers was announced. It's a party game for up to 6 players. That's a party game for 6 players coming in 2023. Here's a weird one. Fantasy Fitness Boxing Fist of the North Star was announced for March 2023. Fitness Boxing basically is an exercise game that you use with the Switch. The Switch. What do you call them?
Joy-Cons.
Thank you. The Joy-Cons. And the way you punch, go left, right, is dictated on screen, I guess, from what you do. They married that with Fist of the North Star, so I guess you can violently explode people to a pool of blood when you have a good workout. So that's cool. I get that is so weird.
Oh yeah,
so weird.
As someone who's a huge fan of Fist of the North Star, I absolutely died laughing. I was like, okay, this is freaking hilarious and awesome at the same time.
Yeah. That's coming March 2023. Just Dance coming in November 22nd. They showed off BTS's Dynamite, which I now hate the both of you right now who told me to listen to this video. It is catchy as hell and it's been on my head all day, and I hate you for it.
Hey, I was correcting you because you thought it was a Justin Timberlake song.
I did not. No, that's not true. I did not say that was a Justin Timberlake song. I said that when they showed that in the Ubisoft Forward, that the Justin Timberlake song was the one.
Never mind.
Yes, that's what I said. So, yeah. But this one showed off BTS and Dynamite, and that'll forever be in my head for the rest of the night. And I hate you for it. It's a good song. I'll say what I said when you guys showed it to me. Yeah, pretty boys that sing very well, and it's catchy. Okay, cool. Nothing new, but yeah, it's a catchy song. And I appreciate a guy who can wear a vest and a tie and not look like a complete douche. So that's cool. Awesome. So, but anyway, I still hate
you. I think now we get to the point of the sizzle trailer stuff before the one big major announcement that capped off Nintendo's presentation.
Actually, we just went through the sizzle trailer stuff.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if we went through the Life is Strange collection with a reminder that it's still coming out, and same for stuff like Romancing Saga, Minstrel Song, also still coming out to Switch and whatever.
Yeah. And we went through most of it. The site that I'm getting all this from, I guess, took those out. I guess they weren't important enough. But yeah, those are coming. What was the last one that was on here? Endless Dungeon is coming to Switch, which I thought was interesting. But let's get to the two big announcements. Pikmin 4 was finally announced. It's coming 2023. They showed very little gameplay. But they said it's close to completion, and it's coming. They said it's close to being completed, and it's coming 2023. And
yeah,
they showed. They talked a little bit about the Mario movie, very little, but they didn't show anything about that. So that was kind of a surprise. I was so ready to see Chris Pratt in this direct. Because that just seems like a thing Nintendo would do. But
oh yeah, totally. With Pikmin 4, one of the interesting pieces that Miyamoto did highlight was the fact that there would be a new viewpoint where you could play the game from kind of a boots on the ground sort of viewpoint, where whoever the captain is for this game, you'd be able to kind of put the camera in what looked like a third person sort of perspective. And at least with how Miyamoto discussed it, it sounded like this would be an additional way to play on top of the usual traditional top-down field play that everyone has been so acquainted with in a lot of the Pikmin games and everything.
Yeah. Again, coming in 2023, they showed off Pikmin Bloom for some reason. I mean, I think the people who are into Pikmin know about it, so I don't know why they spent so much time on it, but okay, fine. And then the last thing they showed was the sequel to Breath of the Wild. It's now called The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. They didn't show much gameplay, but it looked like it's going to be more sky-based than Breath of the Wild. And the official release date is May 12th, 2023. Go ahead. And
Yeah. So this one was interesting to me because just there seemed to be a lot of transition from the ground world to the sky world, and the first thing it got me thinking of was just Skyward Sword and the fact that just um, the safe part of the world in Skyward Sword is literally the sky world, because just evil doesn't fly up to the sky is pretty much what legends and lore in the game pretty much state. But the ground world is where all the dangers lurk and whatnots. So I'm interested if this game is going to sort of play in the legends and lore of Skyward Sword, but it's just way too early to tell. And I presume that Nintendo will probably have some sort of special direct for Tears of the Kingdom a little bit closer to release that maybe starts to set up the lore of the game. So it will be something to really just wait and be patient about.
Okay. So what are your thoughts of the Nintendo Direct that happened today?
I thought it was a pretty good direct. Not really anything too crazy. Seeing the Fire Emblem game was kind of nice, especially since there was a leak a couple months ago about the game in development. But for me, it was a nice, pleasant surprise to see that it's coming out in January of next year. I was just like, oh wow, neat. I thought this game had still had a little while to go, but here we are. Zelda Tears of the Kingdom getting a release date for next May. That's pretty fun considering it's been quite a while since Breath of the Wild, and I really enjoyed the hell out of Breath of the Wild. So definitely good to know that that's coming out sometime next year. So I will definitely be excited to get my hands on that and play it. And then Pikmin 4, I can only imagine that Pikmin fans are just overjoyed with that.
Oh god, they've been waiting for a new one for God knows how long now. So yeah, that's good. It was a decent direct. The big ones hit very well, but the one thing I noticed is that there really isn't much coming for the end of the year. These are all 2023 games mostly. So yeah, I mean that's kind of a disappointment. I was expecting a little more for the end of the year, but it doesn't look like they're having much. So yeah, but that it's good to look forward to next year. And then there's going to be probably direct in February of next year. So that'll be interesting. So, yeah, overall, not bad. Not bad. We will move on to another stream that happened on Saturday. I got to say, having a stream on Saturday is probably the worst thing you can do for a company. Because I completely forgot about this until it showed up on my YouTube recommended. Like, I was watching something on YouTube, then I go to the main part, and I'm like, oh, wait, what? That's today? I was like, oh, wow, okay, well, I guess I better watch this. That's what happened with me. I don't know about you. Was it the reminder I put on the hype stage that made you realize this was going on, or did you know about this beforehand?
No, completely had no knowledge of this, and I was out shopping at the time when this happened. I was just like, oh, really?
Yeah.
Ubisoft is doing a presentation now on a Saturday?
I know. It was so...
Okay.
It was so... And honestly, it was a bad idea. It really was. Like, Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft have it right. When you do it in the middle of the week, and it's after most people get out of work, and then they get home and they sit down and watch the presentation, that's perfect. That's how you want to do it. But to do it on a Saturday when people have better things to do... I mean, I don't see a lot of people who are going to want to sit down on their day off to watch this if they have limited time to relax. So I think this was a bad move. But anyway, let's get to the announcements that happened. Let's go through updates before we get into new games. And these will go over quick. Brawlhalla is crossing over with Castlevania. Alucard is going to be a new character coming into that game. I know, who cares? It's Brawlhalla. The Crew 2 is getting ice tracks for the first time in a new season. The theme that you're going to see here is that a lot of games that I think a lot of people would have thought that shouldn't be getting updates because no one's playing them are still getting constant updates, which actually is a good thing, I think. Riders Republic is getting updates. They're going to have BMX bikes in there. The Division 2 is getting a 10th season called Price of Power. You can stop me whenever you want. What else?
Honor is apparently getting another season, which I'm surprised with, considering that just the game kind of ended up just getting a cult following with the fighting game community, and that's really about it.
Ubisoft Plus is celebrating its 3rd anniversary, and it's essentially making this month free. So if you have Ubisoft Connect and you sign in, you're going to get it free for this month. So that's their Game Pass style thing where you can play all the Ubisoft games on PC for a fee. They're giving that away for a month for free, so that's interesting. Netflix and Ubisoft are partnering on a live-action Assassin's Creed adaptation alongside 3 mobile games based on Assassin's Creed, Valiant Hearts, and Mighty Quest. I think people are pretty disappointed about the Valiant Hearts announcement because I think people really liked that game, but they want it on a console, and when they announce, it's coming to phones, that kind of sucks. Mythic Quest is getting a new season. Who cares? Let's get into mobile announcements. The Division Resurgence and Rainbow Six Mobile were both shown off. They look good for mobile games, but they're mobile games, so yeah, I'm not particularly interested. The Division Heartland is in its testing phase right now. It's a free-to-play game set in that universe that's in the Midwest, so that's cool, I guess. Just Dance 2023 was announced. This is where I was thinking about the Justin Timberlake thing, so there we go. Trackmania is coming to consoles with cross-platform play and cross-progression. That apparently will be free-to-play. So that's cool. Have you ever played Trackmania?
No, but I've seen some of the crazy like infinite loop tracks and stuff like that where all you have to do is just literally just slam on the throttle and then you'll just go through some really crazy loops and slides and stuff like that and then just the track repeats, and that sort of madness is just kind of a sight to behold because it's just amazing how some of the map designers sort of figure everything out on the physics end, and then just all you got to do is just load this map, hit the throttle, and just go.
I really think you should try these games out. You're into sort of difficult games, and you're into racing games. I know it's very arcadey, but the time trial part of these games are a lot of fun. So I really think if you get a chance, you should try Trackmania when it comes out. Skull of Bones had a trailer showing off ship customization, and then it was announced that this is going to be a $70 game coming in November 8th. We've talked about this before. This game's going to tank, I think. I think this is not going to do very well.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, if it reviews well, maybe not. But I don't think it's going to review well. Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope was shown off. They showed more gameplay, and they announced the first DLC that they're going to have is going to be content with Rayman. Okay, I mean, I can't get too bent out of shape about it because it's Mario with Rabbids, so I guess it kind of makes sense that Rayman will end up in it. Sure. Okay, that's fine with me. And then after all that, we have the Assassin's Creed presentation. And they spent 30 minutes talking about all the stuff that's coming out on Assassin's Creed. Let's get to... I want to start off first with the Assassin's Creed Infinite thing. The Infinity, or is it Infinite?
Infinite.
Infinite, okay. They didn't really get into detail, but it sounds like it's a hub of sorts that you can play on that connects itself to all the Assassin's Creed games. And apparently this hub, maybe I read this wrong, but this hub is going to have multiplayer in this. So I guess for those who were missing the Assassin's Creed multiplayer, that apparently is going to be in this hub. So that will be interesting, I guess. So that is coming 2023, and it's attaching itself to a couple of the games that are coming out, which we'll get to. But first, they announced the final DLC for Assassin's Creed Valhalla called The Last Chapter. Look, if you are really into this game, you must be eating well because they gave so much content in this game that most people were just like, this is too much, I'm done. But if you really like this, you're getting more. So on the one hand, like, I don't want to start the game because of how long it is. But on the other hand, if you're into it and you like the game, man, you are doing very well because they give you a lot of crap to do in this.
Overall, just I'm kind of the same way with you on the thought of the the Infinite announcement being just some sort of hub. I'm just like okay, one, is this going to be like a hub sort of game where you sort of kind of interact with some of the events of the past Assassin's Creed games, or is this going to be like a major time sink sort of thing in the future that they're going to really build the hell out of it, and you're just kind of going to be playing for hundreds and hundreds of hours on this? I've got a lot of questions, and unfortunately, just their little overview on Infinite is just way too broad.
Yeah. I'm betting when the new game they announced comes out, we'll learn more about it. But we'll move on to... Let's talk about that game that they announced. Assassin's Creed Mirage. This was actually... this was leaked about a week previous. But this game is set in Baghdad. It's 20 years before the events of Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and stars a character that is in Valhalla called Basim. I think it's his name. Yeah, Basim. Yeah, it's Basim. I'm sorry. The whole name's there, but I'm going to mess it up big time. So I'm just not going to try. Coming next year, I believe in March, they made a point to talk about a Hollywood actress that's in the game, and that's Shohreh Aghdashloo. I like her as an actress. If you've seen House of Sand and Fog, she's great in it. And I've heard that in other TV shows, she's actually very good too. I think they kind of went overboard making a big deal about this, but hey, you know what? She deserves some love, so okay, fine. But I just see a lot of people watching that going, who? And
Yeah.
being confused. But okay, coming 2023.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And to clarify, Mirage is going to be a tribute to the early Assassin's Creed games. So no RPG mechanics, just if you get the stealth kill and you catch the enemy by surprise and jab them straight in the throat, then yeah, they're going to die. You don't have to worry about the whole, oh, well, shit, I'm 10 levels underneath this target I'm supposed to assassinate. Well, crap, I'm going to have to go grind.
Yeah.
So if you enjoyed vintage Assassin's Creed, then you're probably going to like Mirage and all, mostly because it does kind of go back to just traditional Assassin's Creed, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Mirage did have a little bit of controversy because during the Ubisoft Assassin's Creed event, the trailer for Mirage was preluded by an adult-only ratings icon.
I know.
Which adult only for the ESRB ratings does also cover gambling and microtransactions now. So it got a lot of people thinking, oh my god, just Mirage is going to have some sort of loot box bullcrap. Okay, this is fucking terrible. So on Monday, Ubisoft had to put out a PR blast and say, no. Assassin's Creed Mirage is not rated at AO. That was an error on our part. We are sorry for the confusion, but we assure you there will not be any sort of microtransactions in Assassin's Creed Mirage.
That was interesting, to say the least. I thought it was going to be because they were having some kind of like they, when they also did the rating, they said it had extreme violence or strong violence, which is not really something that Assassin's Creed really had. So I was like, wow, they're going to go that route? Okay, interesting. But they kind of toned that back too. It's going to be a $50 game. It's going to be 20 hours long. So even though it's harkening back to like Assassin's Creed 1 and 2 and the whole Ezio trilogy, it's going to be shorter than those. So it seems like it's more of a liberation type of game, I'm guessing, because it's only set in one city. It's great that it's going to be less money, but I don't think this is going to be the media experience that people are thinking it's going to be. Because even when it was classic Assassin's Creed, those were 30, 40-hour long games. But,
Oh yeah.
But this is being half that. So I hope they gauge expectations better on this one, because I think a lot of people are not aware that this is going to probably be a shorter game than you're probably thinking it's going to be. But yeah, it looks interesting, and I might actually give it a shot when it comes out. They then talked about a bunch of games in development. Codename Jade was the first one. It's an open world Assassin's Creed that is for mobile devices. That's unfortunate, but the thing that's really unfortunate about this is that this is set in a time period that people were really asking for, and that's ancient China. And specifically, it was 213 BC in ancient China. So a lot of people were disappointed by that. Or 215 BC. Yeah, a lot of people were disappointed. That's coming to mobile games at some point. I'm gonna venture to say if people complain enough, they'll put a PC client of this out. Like what do you call it? Like Diablo like what Diablo Immortal did. So maybe make your voices heard that you want to play it, and you might get it on PC. I don't know. That's worth a shot.
Yeah, it's really sad too, because of course, on top of Codename Jade being set in ancient China, it also has you creating your own assassin to make your own legacy, and just I can see that easily being exploited with like just really predatory marketing on cosmetic stuff. Just oh, do you want this sweet assassin's armor? Well, you're gonna need 4,000 Helix tokens from the Android App Store or the at the Apple iOS App Store in order to get this costume or whatever. And I just see this just being a giant mobile game clusterfuck. So hate that it's a mobile game, but you know, it is what it is, in the nature of the modern day video game business.
Yeah. I find it funny that the guy that they showed in the Assassin's Creed hood was a white guy. In ancient China. I thought that was kind of funny. I was like, really? You couldn't even try a little bit? Okay. The next one that they showed off was, I think the next one they showed off was one called Assassin's Creed Codename Hexi, and people are thinking this is one set in the witch trials, which makes this a very different game if that's the case.
Yeah,
so,
in particularly, the setting people are speculating is it may be taking place during the German Würzburg witch trials, which happened during 1625 to 1631, and that particular era was a very bloody and brutal one, because eventually a bunch of priests ended up just exercising corrupt amounts of power, and pretty much if they didn't like you, you were accused of being a witch and you were just killed and slaughtered, and whoever killed and slaughtered you just took all of your material possessions and everything. So it'll be interesting to see if they're going to consider the hidden ones as either witches or allies of witches, and then that the Templars will be the literal priest working under the orders of the Pope to execute witches and stuff like that. So definitely a potentially interesting setting.
And this might also hint towards what Assassin's Creed will be in later things. They're not looking at it as a, I guess, a stealth game or an open RPG anymore. They're looking at it as a suite of games that have a through line through history, and they're making different types of games apparently. Because I don't see this being like the way I look at it. I don't see this being like any of the other Assassin's Creed. I don't see this being an open world RPG, but I don't see this being a stealth assassin game either. I think this is going to be something very different. So I'm very curious as to what this turns into. If it turns out to be one of the other two, I think I will be very disappointed. But something tells me this is going to be this is going to be different than the others in a key way. So I'm looking forward to what they announce on that one. The big announcement, I think, that was announced is that the new game that they're setting up now is called Assassin's Creed Codename Red. And this one has you playing as the life of a shinobi in feudal Japan. This is the one that everyone's been asking for. So, were the China one was the second most requested. This is the first. So they're finally doing that one, and people are excited about this. What were your thoughts on the the teaser trailer was like 10 seconds long, but
Yeah,
what do you think of the announcement?
it's kind of one of those. It's just like, wow, it took you long enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, just it seems like it'll be a next gen only sort of thing, or rather, I mean, ninth gen. So, PS5, Xbox Series S, Xbox Series X, and PC.
Mhm.
Yeah, just it'll be really interesting to see where they go with this, because there have been plenty of ninja games in the past. Some of them kind of go sort of on the fun route with like interesting James Bond like goofy gadgets and stuff. Particularly the Tenchu games were pretty wild with just some of the gadgets you could mess around with. But in addition to that, you also have games that are extremely respectful to Japanese culture. In particularly, you've got Ghost of Tsushima, which has been just excellent in some ways, but also a little bit lacking on some of the aspects of Japanese culture. And then on the contemporary end, you have games like Ghostwire Tokyo, which are pretty much just chock full of just virtual tourism in Japan within a video game and everything. So it'll be really interesting to see how much they respect the source material that they're going with for Codename Red, but we'll see how that all plans out.
Yeah. So overall, this is pretty much everything that was announced during the Ubisoft Forward. This was an hour and 30-minute presentation, and 30 minutes went specifically to a special presentation for Assassin's Creed. This is way too damn long. When I watched this, like when it got to all the updates for the old games and Just Dance and everything, I was like, good Lord, what else are you announcing here? There was a lot of filler to this. So a lot of this could have just been a press release, essentially, and just as many people would have cared. I thought the Assassin's Creed presentation was actually very good, but the updates, fine. I mean, you could have had live streams for those specific updates for those specific fans, and they would have covered that just fine. So those who were playing it didn't need that. They can get those updates there, and you would have been just fine. There was no reason to have the updates there, unless you just wanted to get people to realize, oh wow, people are still playing these games. So I guess that's fine. But overall, it was a good stream, but way too damn long. Way too damn long. There were some decent announcements, but they were all sandwiched in between mobile games, like TV shows, Netflix. Like, a lot of this stuff could have been taken right out, and you could have just done a tweet or something, and it would have covered it in the news. And again, just as many people would have cared. But overall, it's fine, but way too damn long.
I didn't catch it live, but yeah, just having to wade through the VODs and everything,
Oh, you lucky bastard.
just it was just a pain in the ass to wade through all the VODs. It was just like, Jesus, all you've got just a bunch of these updates that are anywhere from like 2 to 5 minutes long a piece, and you've just got a ton. All this could have been condensed into like just a giant like PR blast. Just this was almost excessive. Granted, the Assassin's Creed one was a little better for me, but yeah, just it was one of those things that I kind of had the same opinion as you. It was just like, wow, a lot of these could have just been a simple press release to say, hey, this game's getting a new update, so here you go. This game's getting this update, this game's getting that update. Cool, there you go. But Assassin's Creed part was neat, but yeah, just the other part of the Ubisoft Forward event. Yeah, you could have just condensed that into some PR releases.
That's not the only stream that happened this week. Jesus Christ. Oh man. The other stream that happened on, was it Friday?
Yes.
Okay. So Disney and Marvel had a game showcase on Friday. I believe it was just 30 minutes long. So this was a short one, and they had small snippets of games that they were announcing. I'm going to blow through the mobile games real quick. Marvel Strike Force is going to add Red Hulk. Okay. Disney's Mirrorverse is going to have a Halloween season. Sure. Next up, there's a mobile MMORPG shooter for Avatar called Avatar Reckoning. Okay. And that was it, I think. Oh no. Marvel Snap was announced. It's an upcoming free-to-play collectible card game. It got a release date of October 18th. It's coming to PC as well. I've heard decent things about it, except that it's really grindy. So there's that. Marvel World of Heroes was announced. It's a Marvel AR game. It's being made by Niantic. It's Pokemon Go with Marvel superheroes, essentially. And I think that's it for the mobile stuff. That's a lot of stuff that are mobile, so I'm glad we blew through that. Disney Speedstorm is a kart game that's going to be free to play. They showed off racers and a track that was inspired by Monsters, Inc. Cool. Okay. Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga gets a new Galactic Edition and new characters. I guess the Galactic Edition has all the DLC packs that are in it.
Yeah, it's going to be sort of like a greatest hits version.
Okay. So that's cool. Disney Dreamlight Valley is going to add Toy Story into the game later this year. I don't know if that's DLC or if it's just an update, but apparently this was launched into early access. I didn't know that. I thought that was a finished game. Huh.
Yeah, it's basically just Animal Crossing with a Disney skin on it. So if you're kind of into stuff like Animal Crossing, then you'll probably have a lot of fun with it. But the Toy Story stuff, it just sounds like it'll be seasonal stuff, kind of like the Animal Crossing content. So if you want the Toy Story stuff, then you need to prepare yourself for October, since that should be the time frame that they announced that it would be coming in sometime in October. They didn't announce a specific date. So yeah, I would say just if you're a real big fan of Toy Story and you're playing this game in particular, then yeah, just you better prepare for October and prepare to grind to get all the Toy Story stuff you want.
Yeah. So I was really happy about this announcement. I did not have a Sega Genesis when I was younger. I had a Super NES. And even though my parents made the right decision for me in my life, showing me to the superior console that was given to me, they gave me the best because they love me, I was unable to play this game that is now being remastered. And it's Gargoyles. The Gargoyles Remastered is being released to modern consoles and PC. I don't think they gave a date, and they showed very little on this. But just that they are releasing this is exciting to me. So I can't wait for that.
I would say that if you really liked the sort of vintage releases, kind of like the Lion King package that they released a while, and also the Aladdin game set that they had released, then chances are that there's probably going to be a limited physical edition copy that will have a box that looks like the Super Nintendo cartridge box. So if you're kind of into that whole vintage game aesthetic, then yeah, I would imagine that this Gargoyles release is probably going to get a physical copy release with a box that looks like Super Nintendo box art.
Yeah. Hey guys, can we get a Blu-ray of Gargoyles? Get the whole series? Can we do that?
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, come on, guys. If this is popular and makes sales, I can see them doing that. But I think Gargoyles is on Disney Plus. Maybe. I'll look into that later. Aliens Dark Descent had some gameplay shown. I didn't realize this was a top-down shooter, but it looks decent. So that's coming in 2023. Return to Monkey Island gets a new trailer. Comes out on Talk Like a Pirate Day, September 19th. That's next week. So, yeah. I mean, if you're interested in that game, it's not my cup of tea, but there you go. You're set. Another quick gameplay overview for Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora. I'm sorry. I can't wait for the new Avatar movie to bomb and to see this bomb too.
Oh yeah, just this one, it's a multiplayer PvE sort of thing, and just my thought was just like does Avatar really have that much of a fandom that warrants a sort of horde defense and base building sort of game? Because I just don't see the fandom being there.
But the problem with it is executives see that it made so much money. Like it made more money than any movie has ever made. But they think that means that it's liked and popular and beloved, which it just isn't. The Avatar got all of its sales because it utilized the 3D goggles that were popular, or it might still be popular in movie theaters, but not as much as it used to. But at the time, the 3D goggles were really popular, and they utilized those 3D glasses the best out of any movie. And you kept hearing people say you have to see it in 3D. And that's what made it so popular. That's how it made billions of dollars. So, but anybody who's seen it outside of that has always said it's not really that good. It looks beautiful, but the story kind of sucks, and the characters are pretty much cardboard. So, yeah. And I agree with that. So, like I said, I'm waiting for the movies to bomb and for this to bomb, because I don't know why they're spending so much money doing this. I just don't know why. But they're going to do it, and yeah. The announcement that I think got a lot of people excited was Illusion Island, which is a 4-player 2D platformer starring Mickey, Minnie, Donald, and Goofy. A lot of people were excited by this, and they were actually excited by the art style too that I saw. So that's pretty cool. And I gotta admit, the art style is nice. So
yeah, the vibe that I got from it is it looked very much like Rayman Legends. So if anyone out there was a big fan of Rayman Legends, I would highly suggest you keep your eyes on Illusion Island and just see where it's priced at and how it's coming along, especially when they get a little bit closer to releasing it. Be forewarned that it is for now Switch exclusive, so I haven't seen any sort of announcements saying if and when it'll be coming to other platforms like PC or PlayStation or Xbox. So that's the only caveat I have. But yeah, just if you were really into stuff like a Rayman Legends and kind of like the idea of having to cooperate with your friends to kind of synchronize and solve puzzles while platforming and stuff like that, then yeah, just Illusion Island is probably going to be an absolute blast.
Yeah. This next game that was announced, I think it was one of the first games announced, but it surprised everyone. A visual novel based on Tron called Tron Identity. Look, I haven't seen any of the Tron movies, but I know it has a dedicated following, and especially with people who are, people who are gamers. So the fact that they are taking out this property and making a game out of it, and the people who made Thomas Was Alone is doing this game. So that's an interesting developer to do this. But yeah, they're making a visual novel out of Tron. It's set to be released in 2023. It's for PC and consoles. I don't see this making... Okay, look. If they price this right, this could be a decent seller. But if this is a $60, $70 game, I don't see this doing well. So let's hope they price this right.
The last announcement that I kind of have an issue with, but I mean I've griped about this before and ad nauseum, is they showed this concept trailer by Skydance New Media, and it's going to be a game that is set during the World War II era, involving Hydra and Black Panther and Captain America.
Okay.
And I'm not gonna say that I take issue with the games or anything, but it was just one of those things that, why announce it when you don't even have a name for it, and all you've got is just kind of like a flashy little trailer? Just why?
Yeah. No, I agree, and I get so annoyed by that. They basically wanted, I guess, hype for it, essentially. Like, this is a game that if that's all they're showing, don't expect this for another 3 or 4 years, is what I think. And in that time, things can go wrong. They could delay it again. They could cancel it. So I don't see why I agree with it. I don't see why they would announce this and show this off. So, yeah, it's going to star Captain America and Azuri, which is T'Challa's grandfather. It's not going to be T'Challa's father, so that's interesting. It's going to set in World War II. It's interesting. Like, the concept is interesting, and I think one of the people that are on our server, who's a big comics fan, said that the storyline itself was good, but not really fleshed out very well. Like, it was kind of a slight story. So
yeah, a bit thin on content.
Yeah. So they would have to they would have to really fleshen this out in order to do it. The good thing, though, is this is done by Amy Hennig, and even though almost every game she has done since Uncharted has gotten canceled, she still has that credibility. So this may turn out pretty well. But it's way too soon to actually to discuss anything about it. So yeah, I agree with you. This was announced way too soon. It just seemed like they just needed more to announce and for this live stream. So yeah, that sucks. But yeah, it looks okay. It looks okay. I don't even know what it looks like. So whatever. What can we do? But that was it for the stream. Why did they do a stream? Like, there wasn't a lot to announce here. And what they did, they showed like 30 seconds, a minute at most. Like, in most cases. So, what was this, like a 30-minute stream? If that?
Yeah.
I don't get why they did the stream. They could have just released the trailers for these with no problem. They didn't need Captain America and Black Panther. The update on Midnight Suns was appreciated, and that it got a date for October 31st. Is that October 31st? No, it's December 2nd. I'm sorry. They're putting more advertising starting October 31st for Midnight Suns. But that's cool, I guess. But yeah, I'll say it again. This didn't need to be a stream. They could have just released these trailers, put up a PR blitz, put it on Twitter, and be fine. So, I wasn't really impressed with this stream. Hopefully this is not something they do every year. Because if it is, I don't know if I want to catch up with these.
Yeah, I think really just what kind of irked me was just the World War II Hydra, Captain America, Black Panther thing. Just because it was just kind of a, hey, we have a concept, but we don't even have a title for the game, so get hyped for this. It was just like, why bother? This is not a good way to announce something. This is just as bad as Sony the Sony presentation with Rise of the Ronin being announced for 2024. It's just way too early to announce this sort of a thing.
Yeah. All right, Zero. So we are at the end of the podcast, but as always, I have a question for you.
All right,
Zero. We did it a lot. All we did this episode was streams, and we had some interesting stories, but I think these took precedent. So maybe we'll get to those stories next week. But anyway, the question I have for you is this. What is the most memorable press conference or stream of all of them? What is the one that you remember the most? What's the one that wowed you the most when it happened?
It's hard to really put down one that really wowed me the most, but maybe as a concession, I can offer up one that really sort of felt surprised the world the most. Mm-hmm. And I want to say that would be the Nintendo Switch announcement, because of course, just we all know how the Nintendo cycles are. Just everyone claims that they've got an inside track. Their uncle works at Nintendo and all this other junk. And everyone had claimed that they had an inside track on what that they claimed they knew what Nintendo's next big system was. And of course, just Nintendo did this presentation, just floored a lot of people in the world, because I remember leading up to the official Nintendo Direct for the Switch, one of the big things that was leaked was, oh yeah, it's going to be a hybrid portable system. And of course, everyone was just like, what the fuck does that mean? And of course, just there was a lot of curiosity on it. And then of course, when the Nintendo Switch trailer just dropped, and they just show like a guy just kind of waking up, playing on his console on the TV, and then noticing, and oh shit, it's like sometime in the morning. Okay, I got to go walk my dog. Literally just yanks his console off the dock and then just goes to the dog park to walk his dog and whatever. And then he's kind of playing on the bench. I just remember the world just collectively just kind of losing their mind. They're just like, oh my God, just when Nintendo said portable hybrid console, they really did mean portable hybrid console. Holy shit.
I know, it was exciting too, because we just got over the Wii U, which was a dud. And before that announcement, I think it was for a year, they didn't release anything on the Wii U. It was officially dead. They just stopped production on every game for it and said, we are not wasting our time. We're moving on. So they needed to actually wow people with the next console, and they did it. They did it with the Switch, absolutely. How about a negative one?
Ooh, a negative one? Oh, God. The PS3 initial announcement, especially because it was so damn expensive, and everyone's just like, ooh, it's going to cost that much? Ooh, I don't know.
Yeah. That's the famous one that you'll mortgage your house in order to get it, or something, or you'll have two jobs in order to get it. You'll want to work two jobs in order to get a PS3. Was that the quote that he had on stage?
Yeah, I believe that was the quote. Ken Kutaragi had said, just you'll get two jobs just to buy this thing, or something to that effect. And it was really completely out of touch, especially with consideration that PlayStation had earned a lot of love during the PS2 era, and they were completely just already squandering it away with just a system that was just really expensive. And as a longtime video gamer, the first thought I had was just, oh my god, is this the Neo Geo all over again? Because sweet god, this looks like the exact same setup as what happened with the Neo Geo.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, my positive and negative. There's a couple. There's a runner-up I want to give with positive and negative, and the runner-up is from the same year. The negative one is the Xbox One reveal, the Xbox One conference, where they showed off everything, and like 3/4 of it was TV and multimedia, to the point where everyone was like, "Okay, is there any games for this thing?" so there was that. And that led to the famous quote from Don Matrick. If you're in the military and you want a gaming system, we have an excellent one for you. It's the Xbox 360. Yeah, that was great. And the positive one, the runner-up, is is the PS4 announcement the next day, where they not only showed just games, they also undercut the price by $100. And it was just fantastic all around, and it literally, that conference cemented like Sony's place in the entire generation. It just showed everyone, like after everyone watched it, it's like, oh yeah, Sony just won. It's like, let's just go home. Sony won. It's over.
Yep. And then to put salt in the wound, Sony ended up really just laying it into to the Xbox conference, because of course during the Xbox One conference they were saying that games would physical game disc would have some sort of digital rights management system that the discs would need to authenticate to the Xbox servers and everything. So the concept of even being able to loan a game out to a friend would be a complete headache, that you would have to somehow deregister your game off of your Xbox One console, and then at that point your friend would have to then register the game on their console, and then they would be able to play it. But then if they were to return it to you, they would have to completely do this and all this. And Sony just really put salt in the wound by, at the end of the PlayStation presentation, going, yeah, here's a tutorial on how you loan games to a friend.
I remember that.
And it was literally one of the PlayStation execs handing the disc in a box to another exec. I was like, ooh, wow, that is a spicy burn. Oh Jesus.
Yeah. It was great. But man, did they earn that one. Man, that was great. But that's my runner-up. I'll start negative first. The one negative one I remember the most. Remember PlayStation Experience?
Yeah.
Okay. Remember when they had Final Fantasy VII in the PlayStation Experience, and people were going bonkers because, oh my god, the remake is here. Oh my god, people were crying, people were yelling. And they announced a port of the original. You had people who were just like dumbfounded, going, what just happened?
Yeah.
Oh my god, it was so bad, but it was so funny. It was Sony not reading the room correctly, and it was hilarious. But then,
yeah, what a nightmare situation right there, Jesus.
But then on the flip side, when they finally announced the remake, and the reaction that got was insane. Like, everyone was excited. There were some people who were like, oh boy, I don't know about this, but a lot of people were like, oh my god, it's fucking happening. And this was after what? Weren't they saying like 3 years after Final Fantasy VII they were going to remake it? Like,
yeah.
Like something crazy like that? So when they finally did it, like, that was like over a decade of people hyping that shit up. When they finally did it, there we go. And I'll bet you money, the PlayStation Experience is what made Sony say, oh fuck, we gotta give Square Enix all the money to do this right now. So, God, that it was so funny. Oh man. But yeah, those are my favorite moments, or my favorite and least favorite of the conferences. Well, Zero, on that note, that'll be the end of this episode of the Capital Games Podcast. Tune in next week as we will discuss the going-ons and happenings of the video game industry. I am The Wiz.
And I'm Zero.
And we'll talk to you next week.